hello. We have a few book updates today. I think the first thing that I want to do is have a discussion about the Royal Dragon Court and the misinterpretations on it, and why there are misinterpretations on it. When I go and search myself, and I do that, you might think it's cringy, but it's not. I am a businesswoman, and the reason why I have the Royal Dragon Court trademarked and have set up the Sovereign Grand Duchy of Drakensberg is when my father first started the Royal Dragon Court, yes, it was a chivalric order. Whether he was selling titles outside of his family or not, I am not sure, okay? However, because he was selling titles or giving titles away within the court system, other people wanted to be part of that. Now, what I see as a boys' club that was started in the 1990s, a laugh, a jape, turned into a bit of a monster. And for the sake of being transparent, I'm going to explain it all now. Now, it was a chivalric order. They tried to make it into a chivalric order and into its own separate micronation, much like the Kingdom of Redonda. I see it all as a joke. I don't take any of it seriously. My father was very imaginative, and for him to see all of these things as something, as a challenge that he could overcome or secure, that was great for his ego. He loved it, and because he was able to do this in some senses, that brought a lot of it's difficult how to say certain things because my mind's working on over. I've got so much going on in my head that I feel that I want to say. It got a lot of recognition. Yeah, especially in the United States of America, a lot of people wanted to also have that recognition. So for them to have a title, to have their genealogy marked and said, yep, you're part of the Royal Dragon Court, that was an ego boost. It was a validation for them, okay? And you see this all over the United States. There are so many fake heraldry orders, Freemasonry orders. I mean, there's one popping up every minute. It's like a birthing system. As soon as a new baby's born, there's another order. And it gets ridiculous. For me, it's a way of fantasy role-playing. Dungeons and Dragons, I've referenced that many times. And that's what the Royal Dragon Court became like, from what I saw. And this is why I ran away from it. Of course I didn't want anything to do with something that was so ridiculous, and the monster that my father had created. And he saw that it was a monster that he created with the behaviours of people that were trying to become part of the court. So if people want to say to me, people are leaving the court because they're not happy with what you're doing, there's no court to leave. I've changed it. So yeah, what started off as a joke became a bit of a monster, and that's why my dad shut everything down in 2012 before he died. Now, the reason why I've gone and got it trademarked is because since Dad died and before that, we've had numerous, I'm not pinpointing one specific person, There is numerous, I could count them on my hands for the hands and toes for the amount of people that have done a copyright infringement on my dad's work. Okay, not necessarily just the Dragon Court order, which I don't care about, but it's the framework, the whole, the Tuatha De Danann, the things that I don't necessarily believe in. I don't believe in the King Arthur plot. I don't believe in the Merovingians being the Fisher Kings and related to, well, they might be related to the Davidic line. But what I don't believe in is the whole Jesus and Mary had a child called Sarah. I don't believe in the Pierre Plantard line. I don't believe in the Holy Blood, the Holy Grail. Okay? That's a massive thing for me. So, with Dad's framework of all of those things, other people have made up their own books. Grail Quest, Grail Code. I'm just random off the top of my head. But that sort of thing. So the framework is very, very specific to Dad's work. If you look at some of the works before that, where he collaborated, before he collaborated, it was a certain line. It was very much Holy Blood, Holy Grail sort of frameworks. But after Dad collaborated, those books then became the Tuatha De Danann, the fairies, the elves, the House of Vere, the Right to Rule, the Merovingians, you see. So that is actually what is copyrightable. You can't copyright on ideas, or you can't copyright on fiction. Wrong. It's something somebody said to me, but I've got it the wrong way round, right? You can't copyright on fiction. You can copyright fiction. Absolutely, you can copyright fiction. What is seen as you can copyright on is ideas. So you can have an idea of a fairy princess in a castle. How many of those have we got? A story about a fairy princess in a castle, okay? Fairy princess in a castle and a dragon and a wizard. Yep, that's fine. But it's the inner goings between that. What words are said? What is the methodology in between that? Is it a brand new original idea? If it's a brand new original idea that has that framework, then that is copyright protected, okay? Because it's got new names, it's got a new twist, it's got a new story, but it's still got the same framework, okay? So in my mind, the framework that my dad used, that was his work, yeah? And that is the work that is being used in many other books today. For me, it is copyright protected, and that's what I've done, okay? So I have done a law degree. I've spent 3 years in university. My main law areas that I'm really good at is corruptions. I love corruptions. Not that I love them because they're great. I love investigating corruptions. I have a very, very strong sense of justice. And where justice hasn't been used, or it is a level of misjustice or miscarriages of justice, I have issues with that, and I'm able to see patterns within things that I can pick out and say, well, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. The law needs to be changed in this area. So I've also done judicial review, judicial law. I've done contract law, torts, negligence, contracts as in business contracts, so I'm really good on that. Really good at picking out legislation. And case law, absolutely love case law. And copyright, trademark, and copyright infringement, okay? So these are the areas that I'm pretty damn good at. I'm never going to be giving people advice in these areas. I'm not qualified by the bar, okay? But what I can do is give my own experience of these certain subjects, and I will be doing that in the future. Not now, but I will be doing that in the future. So where we have the Royal Dragon Court as it was, when my father died, I had to do some damage control. Because I saw they were literally, it was like they were having round table meetings. I got sent recordings of these people, some of them pretending to be my friends, all discussing about what they were going to do with the Royal Dragon Court and the Sovereign Grand Duchy of Drakensberg. They didn't own it. So what I've had to do within the damage control premise is I've had to strip all of that back. I've had to claim those names for myself to ensure that people do not take them and turn them into a fraudulent entity. So I cannot have anybody using the Sovereign Grand Duchy of Drakensberg or any related crests as a way to set up a chivalric order in a way to sell titles, okay? Likewise with the Royal Dragon Court. That's why I've done it. It's integrity, it's transparency, and it's law abiding. So what I've turned it into is scraping away from all of the perp, and I've turned it into an information hub, a library, somewhere that people can come and research who they are. Now, within my book, The Royal Dragon Court in Great Britain, that's what the book is about. Who are you? Where do you come from? So I outlined the genealogy, and yes, our genealogy does go back to the 10 High Kings of Ireland. Were the 4 Annals of Ireland a mythological paper? I don't know, but I know that they're an ancient document, okay? Caesar, I think there was Tacitus as well. All of these people came way before us and wrote about these people. So then that's what I do. I research historical papers. I research genealogy, DNA, migration, anthropology. I'm not an anthropologist. I'm not a trained scientist, but I do enjoy gathering the evidence for it. And this is where I've come about in my book. Do I use the Bible in my book to say that we're part of the Nephilim and the Anunnaki? No. I believe that we come from, we're all related to each other, and that we come from a mixed hybrid of human being, and the hybrid is not extraterrestrial. The hybrid is a Neanderthal and Denisovans type, and it goes back to other types interbreeding with each other, which becomes the hybrid human, okay? It's completely different from the sensationalism that you will see on podcasts about us. So what I've tried to do is make it more credible, and give people a safe space to look at their genealogy and find out who they are. Help them if they think that they're related to a noble house, then I help them. Yeah, I offer genealogy services, but everything that I do is backed up. I don't use Otto Rahn. Yeah, I read his books. Great, they're fantastic. Some of them are a bit crap. Or the person that reinterpreted them did a bit of an awful job on one of the books, but on Lucifer's Court he did quite a good job of it. In the first one, what he did was he ended up, this is ridiculous, what this guy did was he ended up using a citation for the Holy Blood, the Holy Grail, in a book that was written in the 1930s. You can't do an editorial or a remake or a reinterpretation of a book that was created in the 1930s and then use a later source to back that information up, because that later source got the information from Otto Rahn and I think it's Wolfram von Eichenstein, I can't say it, but that chap, right? And they pretty much did mythological stories on Parsifal, yeah? Again, a mythological fictional story. And people are using these as literal information. And this is what I see with podcasts. Right? I'm not going to point the finger at anyone specifically. I'm not at war with anyone specifically, so I really do need to get this straight. What I have issues with is when people take the role, and I've just done it myself. I've looked online and I've Googled it, right? And it says that we're a secret society. We're not secret. We're a chivalric order. No, we're not. And I'm like, how can I change this? So I've put it on my website. We do not sell titles. We're not a chivalric order. We're not a secret society. We are historians. We're authors. We're geeks. We love history. I love being geek chic. So yeah, what happens is, because these people are mainly base their understandings around the Bible, they take the Bible as a very, very literal piece of text, because they don't have anything else to back it up with. It's understandable that they would do that. However, this is where they make their mistakes in interpretation, and it becomes misinterpretation. Where my father said that there were blood drinking rituals, right? If you go and look in history, you will see that that was something that happened throughout history, throughout the battles. They would take the blood of the fallen. They would take, say for example, Robert the Bruce's head to the Holy Land. It was a symbolic thing. I can't understand why somebody would want to. If I die, do not take my head to Glastonbury. Absolutely bloody not. You can understand how ridiculous it gets. But these people misinterpret it. And then what they tend to do is they use it as a very literal standpoint to create sensationalism, to create clickbait for their channels. And this is the issue. I've got an itch. This is the issue. I don't like sensationalism. I don't like clickbait. I never pay for followers. I certainly don't have 15,000 bots on my pages. All of my followers are organic. And there is two types of followers. There is. And it's difficult for me because sometimes I have to accept them for who they are and hope to God that their understanding will change and that they will take me for who I am now and what I've done with it. And if they don't like me, they will go away because I'm not feeding their ego. I'm not feeding their validation. I'm not giving them what they expected. So I can't be what other people expect me to be. I can just be myself.